Bruce Lee once said, if you put limits on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there, you must go beyond them. And that is what the UFC is all about, overcoming plateaus. I can attest through personal experience that even though the UFC might be gruesome and brutal to some viewers, it is one of the largest growing sports in the entire world. The UFC is a sport in today's world that just cannot be ignored. It is watched by millions of people all around the globe. Today, I will be talking about what the UFC actually is, what each weight class and who the champion of each weight class is, and how big the UFC actually is. The UFC, also known as the Ultimate Fighting Championship, was started in 1993 as a professional MMA organization. MMA, also known as mixed martial arts. MMA also includes fighting styles like judo, wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and many more. Today, the UFC stands as one of the leading MMA promoters. The UFC events are showcased all around the globe and have sold out some of the world's biggest arenas and stadiums. Now getting to the actual money makers of the UFC, who are the fighters. There are 3 women's divisions in the UFC, the first being fought at 115 pounds, which is known as the strawweight division, and the current champion is Joanna Jędrzejczyk. The next weight division is fought at 135 pounds, and that is known as the bantamweight division, and the current champion is Amanda Nunes. And the final division fought for the women is at 145 pounds, which is known as the featherweight division. And currently there is no champion for the featherweight division for the women because it is a new division, but there will be a fight soon to figure out who the champion is. Now on to the men's divisions. There are 8 men's divisions, the first being fought at 125 pounds, which is known as the flyweight division, and the current champion is Demetrious Johnson, who is also the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. The next division is fought at 135 pounds, which is known as the bantamweight division, and the current champion is Cody Garbrandt, who just recently won the title. The next division is fought at 145 pounds, which is known as the featherweight division, and the current champion of the featherweight division is Jose Aldo Jr. The next division is fought at 155 pounds, which is known as the lightweight division, and the current title holder of the lightweight division is Conor McGregor, who just recently won the title at UFC 205. Conor is very famous in the UFC world. He became the first fighter in UFC history at UFC 205 to win 2 titles, or to be holding 2 titles simultaneously. He holds the UFC lightweight and the UFC featherweight division titles, but had to give up the UFC featherweight division title to Jose Aldo for business reasons. The next division is fought at 170 pounds, which is also known as the welterweight division, and the champion of that division is Tyron Woodley. The next division is fought at 185 pounds, which is known as the middleweight division, and the current champion is Michael Bisping. The next division is fought at 205 pounds, which is known as the light heavyweight division, and the current champion is Daniel Cormier. And last but not least, fought at 240 pounds is the heavyweight division, and the champion of the heavyweight division is Stipe Miocic. Now you're probably asking yourself, who actually watches this stuff? Who watches people beat each other up? Actually, a lot of people do. The UFC produces 40 live events annually. It is the largest pay-per-view event provider in the entire world. It is broadcasted in over 129 countries and territories. Nearly 800 million TV households worldwide watch the UFC. And the UFC is broadcasted in 28 different languages. And it was also sold to a different company for $4.2 billion, which means new people now own the UFC. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how successful the UFC actually is. A card that was fought earlier this year, UFC 205, was one of the biggest fights in UFC history. It was the biggest gate at 707 at $17.7 million, which is what tickets were sold, how many tickets were sold at Madison Square Garden. It was estimated that 1.9 million people bought pay-per-view to watch UFC 205. Like I said before, Conor McGregor, he won his second title at UFC 205, which made history, and it is estimated that Conor made about $10 million at UFC 205. UFC President Dana White is confident that the gate that they set at Madison Square Garden will never be broken, and he said that Jesus will have to fight the devil for that to happen. Now, the UFC is a sport in today's world that should be known by a lot of different sports fans because the sport is watched by millions of people all around the world. And if you don't watch the UFC, you may be part of the minority now. Today, I went over a brief history of the UFC and what it actually is, also the different weight classes and each champion of each weight class, and also how popular the UFC actually is. If you're a sports fan, the UFC is something that you should really give a chance. It is really quite an amazing sport. Thank you.